This is Avery, and here is Chelsea. We're not very wealthy, but hey, that's okay, because we're here to stay. I know none of this makes sense, and our podcasts are here at your dispense. Would love it if you listen to your dreams, thoughts, and visions, and maybe you will learn how to live as your fire burns. We hope this episode appeals to you all. Welcome to Writing on the Walls. Oh yeah.
Hey everybody, it's Chelsea Brown.
And Avery Flecky.
And welcome to our new podcast, Writing on the Walls. What's going to fuel our fire this week?
This week we're going to be talking about relationships with like dating relationships, friendships, and also just like yourself and like how to grow up and be able to be the better person for yourself. So we're going to start off by talking a little bit about ourselves and just so you get to know us. So I can go first. So I am a senior in high school this year, and I am loving every moment of all the social aspect of it. It's definitely stressful. That's another topic for another day. I love spending time with my friends and my family. I have 3 younger brothers. We don't have any pets, but it's okay. We have lots of people in the house to keep us entertained. And I play soccer, and I took up cross country this year. So that's just a little bit about me. How about you?
All right, so I don't have any pets either. I've got 2 sisters. I've got a younger and an older one. The older one's in college. I don't get to see her as much as I'd like to. I have played tennis for 4 years now, and being a senior keeps me very busy. And college applications are in the process. They're around the corner, and it's becoming stressful. It's exciting. It's nervous. I think we're both feeling all of the emotions right now. And as far as future plans, I will be going to possibly Ohio Northern University for 6 years to get my doctor's in pharmacy. So that's really exciting. And
Go,
Avery,
Chelsea.
what about you?
I want to go into engineering. I want to become a civil engineer. It's a very difficult thing, I know. I've heard of lots of my friends that have graduated last year. They're in the engineering field, and they said it's a lot of work, but I am excited for that. So that can kick us off to the question we have on Instagram.
So we asked some of our viewers on Instagram to go ahead and send them some questions. That way you kind of get to know us. So Avery, our first
This question says, what are you most nervous for or excited for about graduation? So
I think in terms of nervous, I just don't want to leave, the people that I've made connections with here, especially some of the underclassmen. This class, I have a lot of friends in this class, and they really do mean a lot to me. But then I'm also going to miss some of the younger ones. Like, some of them have said how much I'm their role model, and that's really going to affect me when I leave.
Yeah, completely. So for graduation, I am really sad that I'm going to like leave everyone, like you said, Chelsea, and it's just like going away from the normal and like trying to figure out a new normal, and that's just going to be really hard. But I am very excited for meeting new people and starting like a new life on my own. So,
yeah. And then, granted, we won't have our parents by our side anymore.
Yeah.
But it's almost a fresh start. You're getting away from the house, meeting new people.
It's definitely healthy. Like,
yes.
Even though it's going to be difficult. Like, I'm definitely going to be missing like talking to my family and talking to like my close friends every day. Like, it'll be difficult, but I think it'll be good. It'll be a good change.
Yeah, and there's lots of potential for growth and change. And with that growth and change comes new relationships.
Yes. So, let's start off with like dating relationships probably.
That is the hot topic for today, is relationships.
Yes. I was gonna say, like, what do you think are like your top 3 characteristics for like a good person?
I would say commitment, honesty, and That is a good question. I'm gonna go ahead and start with commitment, and we'll kind of come back to it.
Sounds good.
But you have agreed, like, in a relationship, you've agreed to, if you've agreed to date this person,
Hmm.
you shouldn't have one foot in the door and one foot out.
No.
Like, you agreed to it, and if you're not, why'd you say yes in the first place?
Exactly. Yeah. Definitely with commitment. I know firsthand, like, it's difficult to be committed, and like, especially when life gets crazy, you're like, I have so many things going on. How am I able to balance this all? And I think it's good to be able to recognize that, because if you're completely blind and you're not able to spend as much time as you would like to, or you just don't realize you're spending enough time with that person, I think it's good to realize, like, there's not enough time to go around. Like, you have to, like, although you should put their feelings at your foremost, like, you
Yes.
need to, like, be nice to them, obviously, because you're dating them, but you also need to make sure that you're making a good choice for yourself, and that you're making a healthy, wise decision for you, and you're not going to be stretched so thin that you can't do anything because you're so mentally, like, stressed. So,
Yeah, and you are only one person. You can't be
mhm,
everywhere at once.
exactly.
And that leads me into my third characteristic that I was going to say is communication.
Hmm.
Like, you cannot overbook yourself. You have to communicate them, like,
Hmm.
hey, I've got, I don't know, soccer, I've got cross country, then,
Yeah.
like, I may not be able to see you as much as I want to, but just know that I am trying.
Yes. Yes. And as long as, like, you're trying and you're giving your 100%, I think that is all you can be asked for. If you're being asked for more and you're like, "Hey, I can't," be honest about that. Be
Right.
open about that. But if they aren't willing to be committed to, like, being accepting of that, like, I think that that is a problem for sure. But as long as you're giving your 100% and they are too, and you're open about saying, "Hey, this is too much for me," or saying, "I think I could probably work on this." And you can also tell that to the other person. It's like, "Hey, I don't feel like you're putting as much effort in." And be respectful when you say that, but it's definitely good to be honest, because sometimes that person might not realize that, and they completely understand.
Yeah, and I think that, if when the times do get tough, like, having that commitment, and you want to fight for the relationship.
Yes.
And if it is not worth, like, if the other person is not trying to fight back for it,
Hmm.
then it is not worth your time. Don't pursue it anymore, cuz it's only going to hurt you in the long run if you're the one that is always trying harder than the other one.
Exactly. Like, when in a relationship, it should be fairly equal. Like, you shouldn't have one person trying more, like, harder than the other person, because that just doesn't set it up for success at all.
Right. And it's not going to be 50-50
No.
every time. It's going to be 80-20
Hmm.
sometimes. It's going to be 30-70.
It's also, like, just because, like, seasons of life, and you just have to, like, know, like, one point, like, I might be busier than my partner is, and so
Right.
that means that I might not be able to show as much commitment or as much love as they are to me. But I'll just be like, next week I'm gonna do this for you. Like, you have to, like, and,
Yes.
like,
As
yeah.
long as you both
Hmm.
reciprocate that back, like, one week if you're trying harder, and then they reciprocate what you put in
Hmm.
back, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, that's perfectly
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah. So our next, like, little topic off of that is, like, long distance. I really haven't. I have not done long distance. I'm not an expert, but what I've heard about it is, like it's a it can be healthy, but it also can be very, very tricky. Like, I think the only possible way it can be good for you is as long as you're able to grow and they're able to grow, but you're able to grow together.
Together,
Like,
yes,
although
and
you're
with each
apart,
other.
yeah, you should be able to further yourself, but also be able to acknowledge that the other person is growing as well. So if you realize we're not growing up to be necessarily the greatest match anymore. Like, I think that is also a good part of long distance because it helps see how strong that relationship is. Because if you're seeing each other every day and then all of a sudden you one moves off to college and one has to stay home for college, like that changes the aspect of the relationship so much that like you have to know how strong that relationship is because really you're dating to get married. So
Right.
you want to know how long that relationship is going to last and see how strong it is.
And I think that, like, if you had been dating for several years prior and now one of you moves away,
Mm-hmm.
if things start to take a turn and one of you grows apart, that is
Mm-hmm.
okay. Like, that happens in life, and maybe it's just not meant to be right now, and maybe you'll find each other
Mm-hmm.
again, but I feel like if it's the right person, you will know.
Exactly.
Maybe it's just bad timing. Like, I wholeheartedly believe in right person, wrong
Mm-hmm.
time. Like, you'll know, but
Yeah.
growth is okay, and
Mm-hmm.
you should be comfortable
Mm-hmm.
growing
And
while you're in the
yeah,
relationship.
and don't hold it against them. Like if you were like head over heels for this person and they were too for you, but then you think, oh, they changed so much, what, like how could they do that? It's like they have to grow. Everyone has
Right.
to be able to mature and find who they are, and that's such an important part of, because like you have to be able to mature and become your own person and not become the same person as you're dating, because that just, you don't have your own personality. You have to be your own person.
If they really do like you, they will accept you,
Hmm.
like, for who you are right now, and what you're growing, like, you're growing to be a better version of yourself,
Exactly.
and they should accept that. Let you set boundaries. So our next subtopic is going to be boundaries. And boundaries are really important, whether it's in with work, with friends, boyfriend, girlfriend. And I think it's important that you set boundaries so you don't stress yourself out. And like we said before, you cannot
Hmm.
be in multiple places at once. And when you have so many things lined up on your plate and you make maybe a promise to hang out with your friends, but then your boyfriend wants to hang out with you, like, you have to communicate those
Hmm.
boundaries to them.
Yes, and boundaries are a way to like keep yourself health, like safe, and protect you from stuff that you don't want to happen or you do want to happen. Like you could say, hey, I need an hour to myself every day between 3 and 4. Like I just need that time to be by myself. No communication. Like you don't even have to like set a boundary between you and the person you're dating or you and your best friend. You can set a boundary between you and just the world in general. You could be like, don't come in my room for the next hour. This is my time to just relax and don't pick up your phone. Just do homework or listen to some music, but like have that time to just calm
Right.
down and just take a deep
And
breath.
there's not only there's several kind of boundaries, and there's also, like, I guess if you want to talk about, like, physical boundaries, just
Yeah.
kind of with other people, I guess, like, it may be a touchy subject for some, but you have to put those in place because you have your own
Hmm.
bubble, and you need to tell people when it's
Hmm.
okay and not okay to enter your bubble.
Hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And then with other boundaries, not just dating, but like with friendships, like I definitely sometimes like I'll have like people that constantly like be like, "Hey, I need this. Hey, I need you to do this. Can you do this? I need help with this." And it's like I also am guilty of that. I probably I probably text you all the time, Chelsea. That I need
Calc
help with this.
homework,
I can't figure out my
yes.
calculus. But definitely like being able to set the boundaries, like I'm not going to answer my texts. I'm going to bed at 10, like, or just something like that. Like, it just
Right.
depends. But making sure that you also are respecting other people's
Right. And,
boundaries, not
like,
just
if
your
I'm at
own.
work and somebody texts me about the homework, I'll just be like, "Hey, I don't have access to it right now. Like, you have to respect that.
Yeah.
And you know, if I don't get home till late, if I'm working till 9, that's probably something I'm not thinking about. And you have to be
Exactly.
respectful towards other people. And there's always, you can always ask somebody else.
Yeah, exactly. And I definitely have had to like change my schedule sometimes around Chelsea's crazy busy schedule because I'm like, well, I know Chelsea's gonna be free and doing her homework between this time and this time. So when I get home, I gotta do my homework this time and this time. So then she's able to help me if I need help. But yeah, just being
Right.
able to respect other people.
So, you know, with boundaries and relationships and all of that, both you and I know that there are lots of opportunities ahead of us at college. And there's lots of potential for relationships. And, you know, going down the road,
It's a whole new world.
what are you looking for, and what do you want life to look like beyond Brookville?
Hmm. As much like I do want to like be able to sort of be the same person, but I want to be a like a newer version of myself. Like I want people to look at her and be like, "Wow, she really like prospered. She graduated like she was involved in everything. I'm probably overly involved, but I want to be able to have people be like, "Wow, like
Right.
you did something.
Like
You're
look
really
what
cool."
you've done. Look
Like
how far you've come. Yes.
yeah, yeah. And I want to just be like proud of everything that I've done. I don't want to be like, oh, they're so much better than me. Like I know that's like just it's a very much of a high school thing. Like I look at like someone and be like, oh, they have more friends, so therefore they're better than me. But like I'm ready for that to be done. And when I move away, I'm ready to start a new chapter and not have all those like
Yes.
prior assumptions set to me. Like I'm ready to like be my just be me and not have everything reminded like
Right.
every time someone would see me. I see everyone here at Brookville, like I will know them and they will recognize me and they'll probably be like they'll pin me down to something else. But with this I just when I move I want someone to like just see me for like
In the
what
present
I'm
moment.
doing.
Yes. And that's really important. Like
Yes.
in a small town, people really don't forget anything. And you know, they kind of not I don't want to say stereotype, but everybody already knows who you are, and they're going to form their opinions about you
Yeah.
based on solely on what
Mhm.
they've heard, not their interactions with you, but
Exactly.
word of mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. And with like college and meeting new people, like no one's gonna know you, so it's scary at the same time
Yeah.
as exciting. Like you don't have to prove yourself every day. You're just there. You just are able to be yourself, and if they don't like you, they don't have to be friends with you. You
Right.
don't have to see them every day. Whereas like at Brookville,
Right.
you see them every day.
We're in classes with the same people.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And I think I'm really excited for college. I think it's gonna be a great opportunity for all of us.
Mhm. Yeah. And I'm excited to like see where like my
And
classmates right now are gonna end up in 5 years. Like
it's
it's
gonna
gonna
be
be
sad
crazy.
for real, like leaving all of these people. Like I've grown up with all of you for over 12 years.
Yeah.
Right.
My whole life I've been in Brookville. So it'll be crazy to
Two
not be in Brookville.
Brookvillians at heart. I do think, as much as I love our little town, I do think in the future I'd want to move away from it.
Maybe you catch me in like Colorado in the mountains
Yeah.
and like the city. I don't know. I want to move away, but not like it'll be temporarily.
So, looking into the future is great and all, but we do have to deal with issues in the present.
Hmm.
And one of those issues I've been dealing with is how to, respond to an apology
Move
without
on.
fully accepting it.
Yeah.
Because what the person did was very hurt. What they said was very uncalled for and
Hmm.
was very hurtful to me. And it's been a couple days now. And they've almost made a apology, and then they tried to apologize again, but then it was a little better than the first one. So I'm just wondering, Avery, how would you go about responding to
Yeah.
that?
Um. So I think definitely if you're still hurt and it's been a few days, like I've been hurt before, and I've it's taken me like months. Like it just depends, and I think as long as the apology you feel like is sincere, it's okay to be like, thanks for apologizing, but you like to be able to accept it. I think you should fully accept it and not just be like, yeah, thanks for apologizing. I accept the apology, because it's not completely internalized. You have to be able to completely accept the apology and forgive this person, because in order for like you to be friends with this person, you have to be able to completely forgive them. And if you can't completely forgive them at this point, it's not worth being like just sort of putting on a fake act, because you have to be truthful,
Right.
and you have to be able to protect yourself from like, what if this happens again, they have to know right now that they shouldn't do this again because it did hurt you, and they should be able to like figure that out. Like they have to be able to say I'm sorry, but you have to be able to be like, hey, I can't, like, thanks for apologizing, but I can't accept it.
Right. And I think at some point I will move on from it, but in the
Hmm.
present moment,
Hmm.
I just don't want to deal with it, and I feel like, I mean, I do really appreciate the apology, and I'm glad he said
Yeah.
something at all, but
Hmm. Words hurt, man.
yeah,
Words hurt.
you have to watch what you say.
Yeah.
And what was said really triggered me, and I feel like
Hmm.
I have the right to not accept that apology. Like, I
Exactly.
didn't feel like the first time he tried to apologize was anywhere near what he should have.
Hmm.
Now that he apologized again, it corrected what he said. It corrected what he said a little bit the first time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I think, yeah, it's completely okay to have to realize I can't accept your apology, but I appreciate you apologizing to me. Like, because it shows that they did sort of man up, and they were gonna say, hey, I'm wrong, but you also have to be able to respect yourself and not just
right.
them.
And
Yeah.
I don't have to push it along. I don't have to
Yeah.
push it to the side if I don't want to.
Yeah. Because, like, you shouldn't just be like, oh, they said this and brush it off. Because if it truly did hurt you, like, you're able to have feelings.
Right, right.
So you have to be able to show those feelings.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that being said, what do you think are some aspects of a relationship that you're just glad it ended because it just didn't go so well?
I would say the first one for sure is moving too quickly,
Hmm.
because when you do that, it's almost like you're bound to crash and burn. And I can say that I was guilty of not communicating that, which is probably my second one, like the lack of communication in general. And for the relationship to work, you have to be honest and upfront with each other.
Hmm.
And then I would say I felt that I was putting in more energy than I was receiving. Now
Yeah.
that is okay when your partner reciprocates that energy back, but when it's mainly you fighting for it, it's not worth it at that point.
Hmm. So for me, I would say definitely the um
I think you were talking the same way with the moving too forward.
Yeah. I was like, I couldn't think of the word. Okay. Moving too forward for sure, like going too fast and then not being understood. Like if I'm communicating it and like the partner is just not understanding, like they're not listening
Yeah.
completely. Like they're listening, they're understanding, but it's going in one ear and coming out the other. Like it's not sitting with them. And then I was also gonna say being taken for granted, like just not. I mean, yes, being respected. I've been respected, but just felt like I wasn't worth like their time, kind of, and like just being taken for granted. So
Yeah. I would say those are all really valid reasons. And then that leads us into our final question of overall, like we've talked about relationships this whole podcast. We've given our insight in some of the situations we've been in.
Mhm.
So, do you think that high school relationships are worth it? Like from two seniors in high school?
honestly, although most high school relationships end, or like if they carry out after graduation, they probably will end in the next 2 years or less. Definitely, probably less. But I think it's really important, like just to test the waters. Like even if you don't date in high school, I think it's gonna be okay. Like you don't have to necessarily date anyone, and like there's no rules. Everyone's different, and their stories are gonna be different. So I just think like it's not gonna matter.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think obviously we're talking about if you don't finding anyone in high school to date, then I guess this really doesn't apply to you. But if there is someone you really like, you both like each other, and you want to date, but you're hesitant because simply because it's a high school relationship,
Mm-hmm.
I would say just go for it.
Yeah.
Because in high school you're kind of building the foundation for your new relationships, and you're gonna learn, you're gonna get to dabble with it and kind of see what you're looking forward to in the future.
Yeah.
And it just kind of prepares you for relationships later on, and you may grow apart, but I think it's important.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking forward to other relationships. And in high school, this is where we grow the most as people. So
Exactly. Yeah.
if you have a longer lasting relationship in high school, then you are learning to grow with one another. Like if you've been together for a couple of years, you're gonna learn how to grow together, and I think that's really important for the future.
Yep. Yep.
So definitely it is worth it. This episode of Writing on the Walls was sponsored by Tinder. Actually, not really, but that would be really cool. Anyways, heading into the outro.
So here we are, new secrets out of the jar. We thank you for pressing play. Hopefully, you decide to stay. Join us next week if advice is what you seek. We're bringing a surprise, and they're coming in disguise. Until next time, this was a good rhyme.